Hello friends, how are you? My name is Ari Thurger and today I'm going to talk about Easter. Is it a pagan or a Christian celebration? What do you think, Mr. Tico? You couldn't care less, right? Let's get started. Easter. When we celebrate Easter, do we know what the rabbit and the hags symbolize? And do they have anything to do with the resurrection of Christ? Well, it's quite interesting to see where these symbols came from. What are your thoughts on it, Mr. Thorstein?
I don't know, and I honestly don't care.
Typical.
Well, unless of course there is beer and meat involved, and a good amount of pillaging and raiding.
Oh well, yes, about raiding, there is a certain connection with this season, yes. But I will talk about that on another video. It will be a subject about the spring celebration on pagan Northern Europe. When the Christian missionaries wanted to convert the pagans to Christianity, they thought the easiest way would be to incorporate some pagan beliefs with the story of Christ. Till this day, there are many people who celebrate Easter thinking that this was the time that the resurrection of Christ took place. But in truth, Easter is a pagan festivity. It is the coming of spring and the actual rebirth of nature itself after the long, dark, harsh days of winter. This is the time for joy and to celebrate the warmth of the sun. And of course, this is also the beginning of the new year, the harvest cycle. People can now begin to plow the land anew, and later, of course, they can harvest whatever it is that the earth has to give us. And you have to take in mind that of the 4 seasons of the year, spring is the one closest to perfection. Is neither too cold nor too hot, but something in between. And all the beauty of nature starts to pop out at this time of the year. So, is Easter pagan or Christian? What?
Sir, he says that you already told us that Easter is pagan already, sir.
Have I? Really?
Yes.
Yes.
In reality, Easter does not represent the historical crucifixion of Jesus Christ. In fact, the Gospel reflects about the crucifixion of the sun through the vernal equinox, spring, in which time the sun resurrects as the days become longer than the nights. Rather than being a Christian holiday, Easter is a celebration all around the world which dates back to the remotest antiquity. People revered the blossoming of spring and the life-renewing year and the coming of the sun and the end of winter. For instance, to the Anglo-Saxons, Easter or Eostre was the goddess of dawn. But I will speak about Eostre on another video. But being the goddess of dawn means that she is the goddess of the sun, the goddess of the return of light into the world. So she was very much praised during this time of the year. The word Easter shares the same root as the word east, which is the direction of the rising of the sun. Another example of a deity worshipped during this time was the Syrian god of the sun and fertility, Hathis. He was hung on a tree, dying and resurrecting between the 24th and the 25th of March. And this was also an Easter celebration celebrated in ancient Rome. Of course, there are other pagan deities worshipped during this time. For instance, the Greek god Adonis, who also was crucified, and he will die and he would resurrect during this time, symbolizing the coming of nature and the coming of the sun. So there are a lot of pagan deities worshipped during this time, and all of them symbolizing the coming of the sun, the renewal of the earth itself and the coming of spring. So before Christianity, the Easter celebration was celebrated around the world. When we reflect on how the church has skillfully contrived to plant the seed of the new faith upon the old stock of paganism, we can surmise that this Easter celebration and the resurrection of Christ was grafted upon much older celebrations of the resurrection of a lot of deities, symbolizing the resurrection of nature itself and the coming of spring and, of course, the coming of the sun and longer days. So, summarizing, the salvific death and resurrection of Christ during this time, as well as the initiation as a remover of sin and the notion of becoming born again, are all ages-old pagan motifs rehashed into later Christianity. So in truth, Easter is a set of pagan celebrations and beliefs adopted by the church, and nowadays Easter is the resurrection of Christ and the time for sweets.
Give me one of those.
Certainly, take it.
Hey, we want it too, sir.
Well, of course, guys, take it. Alright friends, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will make other videos about this subject, about the spring equinox. I will talk about Eostre, the goddess of dawn, and I will talk about Sigrablot, the Easter celebration of the Northern European pagan beliefs. All the links to my social media are down below at the description. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video and tack för idag!